Welcome to your favourite spook of the week, everyone, and happy Halloween, everyone. It's the spookiest day of the year. We finally made it, where we get to celebrate lots and lots of scary fun. Unless you're not watching this video on Halloween. If you're watching a Halloween video, not on Halloween, big shout out to you. And if you're watching this in 2022 Halloween, shout out to you even more. I'm proud of you guys. Anyway, what better way to celebrate the spookiest day of the year than learn about the scary and spooky tales of why Halloween exists. I think I saw a ghost over there. Get a Ouija board so we can talk to it. Fun fact, when I first heard of the Ouija board, I thought it was the Luigi board from Mario, and I was wondering why people using an Italian plumber to summon ghosts. Who knows? Anyway, our adventure today begins roughly 2,000 years ago, where the Celts, a people who lived in Ireland, the UK, and northern France, celebrated their new year on November the 1st, and to mark their occasion, they held a festival called Sah-win on the 31st of October. This day marked the end of the summer and the harvest, and beginning of the dark and cold winters, which were often associated with death. The Celts believed the night before the new year, the boundary between life and death was blurred, and the ghosts of the dead returned to the earth. During the celebrations, the Celts wore costumes, typically consisting of animal heads and skins, to drive away these evil spirits, and banquet tables were also prepared, and food was left out to appease unwelcome spirits. To be fair, if I was an evil spirit and someone gave me a Chinese buffet, I wouldn't haunt them either. The Celts thought the presence of otherworldly spirits made it easier for the priests and druids to make predictions about the future, with these prophecies being a source of comfort for people during the long, harsh winters. Huge sacred bonfires were built for people to burn crops and sacrifice animals to the Celtic gods. When the celebration was over, they relit their hearth fires, which they had extinguished earlier in the evening, from the sacred bonfire to help protect them during the coming winter. As Christianity began to gain a foothold in these pagan communities and spread faster than COVID on a London Underground tube, the church leaders tried to make sah-win. It's got an M in it. It's got an M in it. Who makes a word with an M in it and not pronounce it? Probably pterodactyls. I've lost my train of thought because I'm thinking about dinosaurs. So as the Christian takeover of the pagan communities, they tried to make Samhain a Christian celebration. That was bloody difficult. Going along with the theme of the dead and spirits Samhain was known for, in 609 AD, Pope Boniface V endorsed the 13th of May as a Catholic holy day commemorating all Christian martyrs. The fire festivals of October and November did not end with this new celebration day, however. So, only a few hundred years later, in the 9th century, Pope Gregory moved the celebration back to the time of the fire festivals, but declared it in All Saints' Day on November the 1st. The All Saints' Day celebration was also called All Hallows, or All Hallowmas, which comes from the English word Allhallowmesse, meaning All Saints' Day. And the night before it, the traditional night of Samhain in the Celtic religion began to be called All Hallows' Eve, and eventually Halloween. All Souls' Day, which was celebrated similarly to Samhain, was introduced in the 11th century and would follow on the 2nd of November. This created the 3-day observation known as All Hallow Tide, with All Hallows' Eve on the 31st of October, All Hallows' Day on the 1st of November, and All Souls' Day on the 2nd of November. So we've discovered the shocking truth behind the origins of Halloween, a bunch of British people not drinking tea. We look back now and it's absolutely barbaric. I'm shocked, outraged. Anyway, there's a lot more fun to be had in Halloween, such as pumpkin carving. How did that begin? The practice of carving pumpkins comes from an Irish myth about a man named Stingy Jack. Jack was known to be a drunkard and deceiver and manipulator throughout the land, and upon hearing of his evil deeds, the devil went to find out whether or not Jack lived up to his vile reputation. Upon encountering the devil, Jack soon realised he was there to take his soul to hell, so requested one last drink before he went, and with no reason to decline, the devil accepted. Truthful to his name, and what I do at a lot of pubs with my friends, Stingy Jack didn't actually want to pay for the round of drinks, and instead convinced the devil to turn himself into a coin to pay the bartender for the drink. The devil agreed to this weird request because it was just a strange request. He turned himself back into the devil after the debt had been paid. But upon turning himself into a coin, Jack put the coin into his pocket next to a silver cross so the devil couldn't return to his original form. Jack's mischief knows no bounds. Jack eventually agreed to free the devil, but only if he spared his soul from hell for the next 10 years. 10 years to the date, Jack and the devil were reunited, and Jack agreed it was his time to go, but not before one last request, which the devil foolishly agreed to. He wanted one apple to feed his starving belly, and as Satan climbed the tree to grab one, Jack surrounded the tree base with crucifixes, trapping the devil once more. Classic Jack. Jack's request this time was that the devil would never take his soul to hell, which the devil had no choice but to agree upon again. Upon Jack's eventual death, God wouldn't allow such an unsavoury figure to enter heaven. Jack went down to hell and begged for admission, but the devil, keeping in his promise not to take Jack's soul, Jack was again denied entry. After being denied entry to hell, the devil sent Jack into the cold dark night with just a burning coal to light his way. Jack carved open one of his turnips, which were his favourite food, and put the coal inside and began searching earth for a resting place. He soon became known as Jack of the Lantern or Jack-o'-lantern. The Irish and Scottish began to make their own versions of Jack's lanterns by carving scary faces into turnips and placing them into windows in order to scare off the evil soul of Stingy Jack and other wandering spirits. When the Irish immigrants went to the USA, they brought the tradition with them and soon found that pumpkins, which were a fruit native to America, made the perfect jack-o'-lanterns. So jack-o'-lanterns comes from one really innovative drunk person. We can now find out why we give children razor blades in their candy. Since the Middle Ages, the tradition of mumming and guising, where folk plays are performed by amateur actors on a certain holiday, has existed in parts of Britain and Ireland. It involved going from door to door in costume, performing short scenes in plays in exchange for food and drink. The custom of trick-or-treating on Halloween may come from the belief that supernatural beings or souls of the dead roamed the earth at this time and needed to be appeased. During the festivities, poor citizens would beg for food and families would give them pastries called soul cakes in return for their promise to pray for the family's dead relatives. This was known as souling, and the practice was later taken up by children who would go from door to door asking for gifts such as money, food and ale. According to one 19th century English writer, parties of children dressed up in fantastic costume went round to the farmhouses and cottages singing a song and begging for cakes, apples, money, or anything the good wives would give them. In the early 20th century, Irish and Scottish communities who had immigrated to America revived old world traditions such as souling and guising, and by 1920, pranks had become the Halloween activity of choice for rowdy young people. The Great Depression enhanced the problem, with Halloween mischief often devolving into vandalism, physical assaults and sporadic acts of violence. One theory suggests that excessive pranks on Halloween led to the widespread adoption of an organised, community-based trick-or-treating in the 1930s. The sugar rations of World War II abruptly brought a halt to this tradition, however, but post-war, trick-or-treating became a standard practice for millions of American children. No longer constrained by sugar rationing, candy companies capitalised on this lucrative ritual, launching national advertising campaigns specifically aimed at Halloween. Although we are unsure where the phrase trick-or-treating precisely comes from, it was firmly established in American culture in 1951, when it appeared in a Peanuts comic strip. In 1952, Disney produced a cartoon called Trick or Treat featuring Donald Duck and his nephews Huey, Dewey and Louie. The practice of wearing Halloween costumes also comes from Celtic tradition. Christian minister Prince Sori Conte wrote on the wearing of costumes, "It was traditionally believed that the souls of the departed wandered the earth until All Saints' Day, and All Hallows' Eve provided one last chance for the dead to gain vengeance on their enemies before moving to the next world." In order to avoid being recognised by any soul that might be seeking such vengeance, people would don masks or costumes to disguise their identities. As trick-or-treating became increasingly popular in America, costumes began to be mass-produced, which often imitated supernatural and scary beings such as monsters and ghosts. Trick-or-treating didn't actually come to Britain and Ireland until it was popularised in the 1980s movie E.T. It was viewed as an exotic import from America and not welcome on these shores. Disgusting American behaviour once again. Bloody British. Cup of tea, where's my tea? Anyway, in Ireland until the early 2000s, they used to say, help the Halloween party when they went from door to door. But when trick-or-treating took on, and the children found out they could gain sweets by saying it, it stayed rather quickly. So there you have it, an end of summer festival by the Celts is the reason why 2,000 years later we're getting spooky in a Jamie's Day YouTube video. Go and carve your pumpkins and go and carve your turnips and go and scare off those evil spirits. I hope you all have a fantastic Halloween everyone, and I've been Jamie's Day, your favourite spook of the week, and this was the terrifying tales of the horrors of the origins of Halloween, where they put an M in sah-win but it hasn't got an M. That was spooky. I'll see you all next time. Peace.